The Masons watched in horror as chemotherapy ravaged Valerie's body. They weren't sure how to save their daughter's life, but they had decided that her doctors were missing the mark.
And they said, well, you got 14 more of these treatments to go. And we said, there's no way.
She needed 2 units of blood after one treatment. This is one treatment. You want to do 14 of these. Explain to me, what can happen here?
She would have heart damage, liver damage, and kidney damage. Not possible, would. They could get it, that it would get into remission, and then it would come back, and then there'd be nothing they could do. And we're like, oh, I'm sorry, that's not what we wanted to hear.
They never thought of anything better. That, you know, we're gonna make you really sick, and then somehow you're gonna be okay. That's what really upset me.
We started back with the supplements that we originally used to do, change the diet again.
My dad was up endless nights on the computer, just searching, you know, alternative medicine and, you know, Ewing sarcoma.
And then I clicked on something, I don't even know how I got to this webpage, and Burton Goldberg's website popped up.
I'm a journalist, and I've been studying integrative and alternative medicine for 30 years. After working with the masters of the world, physicians, from Europe to the United States to Israel to Russia, I put a book together doing all the therapies on over 208 health conditions and how using the therapies for these health conditions can reverse even end-stage cancer.
I didn't even know what time it was. I realized it was about 4:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. I get on my phone, I called the number, it was on the screen, and I realized what time it was. I said, oh, geez, I hope this guy doesn't get mad at me because I'm calling in the middle of the night. But I got his answering machine, and he called me back the next morning, and I explained to him the situation.
As I heard Don, the prognosis was bleak, and he was beside himself. And he says, I have a daughter who can't move, she's in pain, she can't do chemotherapy, what should I do? And so I told him what I thought she could do.
He says, you run. You don't walk, you run to Dr. Forsyth in Reno, Nevada.
Dr. Forsyth practiced integrative medicine, using the best of both worlds. And I said, this is the man for you.
My protocol was to use complementary therapy to a lower dose of chemotherapy. The chemo that she was given back in Texas was very harsh. It was heavy-duty chemo. It was like using a sledgehammer rather than a feather duster. So it was not user-friendly chemo by any means. She had significant hair loss, nausea, vomiting, and what we call cytopenias, which means all of her blood counts were down. Her red count, her white count, her platelet counts were all diminished. And this can be life-threatening because if you get low white counts, you can get overwhelming infections. If you get low platelet counts, you can bleed to death very easily.
Dr. Forsyth normally didn't take patients under 18, but because Burton Goldberg knew him and explained her story, it was really incredible that he said, all right, I'll take her.
Dr. Forsyth, he's an oncologist, board-certified oncologist, he's a doctor, he takes insurance, but he says it's going to be expensive for the alternative.
And Don is one tenacious daddy. he had a mission.
So the only thing I could think of, I went to my synagogue and I told my rabbi, and he says, gentlemen, we need to raise some money.
I decided, me and Rabbi Rosenblatt, my co-worker, that we were going to find the money, or as much money as we could, to take care of Valerie. Even though we didn't agree with the alternative medicine, we didn't agree with this, we thought that she should really go to the normal doctors, she should get chemotherapy.
You know, a lot of people thought we were kind of crazy, you know, taking such a risk. But when they don't give you much prognosis anyway, are you really taking that big of a risk?
Fortunately, a family friend referred the Masons to Rick Shalvoy and Row for a Cure, a charitable foundation which raises funds for cancer research through boating events.
I honestly thought that between you and me, I really honestly thought that in my mind, I'm going to lose another student, I'm going to lose another child. And in my mind, I was preparing myself for the funeral.